Hello, listeners. It is the month of May. Aries has been going off the chart. Who else has had their megaphones out, really expressing themselves? I am back from an amazing art adventure. Went to the Venice Biennale, went to the Malta Biennale. I visited temples that are older than the Stonehenge, older than the Egyptian pyramids. And it just reinstated that I do not live on the surface. Nope. I go deep and I don't know how to live any other way. Doubt I will not be able to live in any other way. And it also reminded me that creativity is not singular. It is not only self-expression. Creativity is like descending into the hidden chambers of our self, where these symbols are, where we ignite rituals, and where inherited stories and identity still live beneath the surface. It's an ancient guidance. It's an ancient guidance system leading us back to ourselves. It's an ancient guidance system leading us to where we want to go. It's the body itself, our body itself is like an architecture of residence. And then you can go into this archaeological site for each chapter. Beneath the surface of the skin, we have these chambers of relationships, of blood, of bone, of breath, of memory, of longing, of desire. You know, Sounds reverberate through us and can help attune and help dissolve whatever is stressing us out. You got to go and listen to that favorite song to have that attitude adjustment. Certain places and objects and music and images awaken these emotions before language can really explain why. And art has always spoken to me in this way. It just is a reminder that long before creativity became content, or long before creativity became a commodity, or long before creativity became self-improvement, it really was seen as a form of navigation, a method for humans to understand love, survival, beauty, grief, our personal strength, our personal power, because there's invisible forces shaping our lives. Like creativity has never been separate from that ritual or the spirituality and the healing and the community. It's if we remember, it's like how humans translated the unseen into a form. And perhaps this is why certain works of art still stop us in our tracks. Not because we understand them logically, but it's because of something ancient inside us recognizes that frequency. It ignites it. Creativity is guidance. Creativity is prayer. Creativity is confession. Creativity is telepathic. Creativity is intuitive. You've heard me say it before. And I just realized again that creativity is a form of inner archaeology. And I can share a drawing with you that I have done. And before we do that, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Those who have been listeners from the very beginning, nice to see you. And for you listeners just joining, thank you so much for help growing this community where we talk about art and we talk about where we find that inspiration. Every time you breathe in, you're inspiring yourself. If you start breaking down that word, and artwork has been always been an inspiration. And as I talk to artists, I ask them what their inspiration was. And undoubtedly, we get into the spirit of things. We end up talking about spirituality in one way or another. And it's just a beautiful chamber that so many of us have had to put that on hold, not really look at that for a long time in our life, especially, living in that patriarchal society as we do. We're working for the man, working for somebody else, sacrifice yourself up, and the demonization of the church. And like, I know so many of us listeners are, recovering Catholics and helping people find and get into the spirit of things and find the spirit within themselves has been demonized. And a lot of people start following the wrong crowd. But if we really look back and find it as our inner strength and believing in ourselves and having that relationship with our hidden chambers and creativity is a way to do that. So thank you, everyone. I know a lot of us are getting tattoos from drawings that we've been doing. A lot of us are getting into the public art world. Congratulations. A lot of us are listening and being here in a sense of community. So let's get into it. On my art adventure, went to the Venice Biennale, went to the Malta Biennale. We're going to talk about the temples. We're going to talk about the artwork. And before we do that, I have an example here of one of my drawings that I did because it just it just was such a great synchronicity, and I can't wait to show you. So here is a stick figure drawing that I did. Oftentimes I'll draw on stick figures or like from the feet up, I'll draw upside down and draw um, these like celestial bodies, if you will. And I love the heels and I love just like the looseness of it. So I definitely balance stick figures and these more organic forms. But anyway, let's get into it. So the top portion, I go into the stick figure goes into a pawn shop, and it's got this pocket watch. And for those of you that are just listening and not on YouTube, I'll try to explain it the best I can. But hop over to YouTube if you want to see the picture and some other pictures that we're going to talk about from the Venice Biennale. But in this drawing, I'm at a pawn shop, and the pawn shop says, "All right, I'll give you $10 for that girl. I'll give you $10 for that pocket watch." All right, great, cool. But what about if I go to a jewelry store? So the center part, a little illustration, I go to the jewelry store. And the jewelry store, you can see can put it out, light it up really great. And the jewelry store's like, I'll give you $100 for that. What do you think about that consignment? Well, all right. So then, there's two options, but there's still another option. There's still another way. I take it to a museum, and the stick figure is gleaming with excitement. And like, this pocket watch is a treasure. It's up, it's on a pedestal, it's all lit up, it's got didactics on the museum wall. I just love it. And it's like the value doesn't change, you guys. It's the context is what changes. And as a museum curator, I think it's really important to remember all aspects of the work that you're looking at. Art is not just an object. So, the point of my story of showing you this drawing is 2 days later, hand to God, a museum emailed me and said, in their words, "We have a situation. We think you might be able to help." And, there it is again. Creativity is a confession. Creativity is intuitive. Creativity is telepathic. Creativity is a form of self expression. It can lead you to the path. It can help you use your energy that's inside your own archaeological sites. It can help you have a better relationship with yourself. And that right there is the best thing on earth. It is the best buzz when you can have a great relationship with yourself. And trust me, I got wine glasses to help me drink my bottle of wine. I mean, a glass of wine. I have my favorite margarita cup too. I mean, having a buzz in the sober sense of with yourself, it's the best. It's just amazing. All right. So let's talk about the Venice Biennale. We're going to talk a little bit about the Malta Biennale too, because what I'm seeing is that the art world is having a spiritual revival. And I'm not talking about spirituality as religion, I'm talking about spirituality as perception. It was all over the Venice Biennale. It was all over the auxiliary galleries showcasing work. For example, Judy Chicago had a show. It was called The Materiality of Judy Chicago. She works in embroidery, she works in pen and ink, she works in paint, she works in glass, she worked in metal. And of course, my favorite work of art was a cast glass goddess. There were some smaller goddesses around that I'm pretty sure had been incorporated into the her exhibit at the De Young Museum. But let's talk about the glass goddess. Hello, it's gorgeous. But it's also just not lost on me that this woman has been showing us how to stay real and how to do it for decades. The show was in Venice, Italy. And for those of you that don't really know the whole lineage of glassmaking, I mean, we give props and we give gratitude and we give reverence for all the techniques that the Italians were able to give us in terms of glassmaking. Some are going to also give you South America and Sweden and the Czech Republic. But for the most part, like these techniques were grounded and founded in Italy for centuries, centuries. And they were passed on through the men in the family. So through this patriarchal lineage, glassmaking skills were innovative, they were tradition, and they were kept in the family and kept alive from men passing it down to their son, their brother, their cousin, and then it expanded from there in the giant family web. So it's not lost on me that this woman was able to do this cast glass work in Italy with all the bravado around. I just love that it was a goddess and it was glass. Thank you, Judy Chicago. We can also see it in auxiliary shows around Venice with Marina Abramovic's show that was titled Transforming Energies. I mean, hello. I was able to attend this show, and you can't take pictures, so you have to turn off your phone and you're guided around, or you can go self-guided into this exhibit where she's helping you resonate with yourself. And she does that through the medium of crystals. She had several different type of crystals and several different orientations. And as soon as I walked on the first platform with crystals along the side of me, I got a download and I was stoked. And I just walked around the rest of the show with a buzz because I had had that relationship with myself. And it led me to one of my other favorite exhibits that was there, part of the Venice Biennale, titled "The Our Daughters of the East." And this was a really great exhibit. I think my favorite part, because the whole Venice Biennale was themed from the curator, Koyo, who is now passed on, and the theme is titled In Minor Keys. So we're talking about resonance and sound anyway. So having a resonance with yourself again and love thy neighbor is something that I also kept hearing throughout the exhibits. But with this one, The Daughters of Our East, I mean, I can show you images after images in the context, but my favorite part is that the audio, I think, was so much better than video installations from these younger artists that I've been seeing. And I was just so great, so much in gratitude and so grateful that the audio was there. Like the editing had come together from a technical level. Congratulations. I just thought, because the imagery, a picture says 1,000 words. And so it was, you'll be able to see it too and have your own experience with it. Um, Another one of my favorites, the ear is the soul. Oh, wait, I messed that up. The ear is the eye of the soul. Yeah, the ear is the eye of the soul. And it was created by musicians giving reverence to a 12th century Saint Hildegard of Bingen, who had amazing contributions to science. She was an amazing prolific musician, and she was very vocal about having heavenly visions. So to hear musicians like Patti Smith be able to honor this this woman in that frequency in this way, super great. I mean, hello. And he was even backed by the Vatican. So that was really special. And I got to tell you, remembering, that I don't think art is an object. I look at it for what it does. And this other show totally surprised me. I walked into, I'm reading my notes over here because I just don't want to mess up. The artist, Anna Brenton, she was able to juxtapose her color language next to old school paintings. And she called it the seven sires, seven spheres. I'm going to have to go back and fact check myself. Don't worry about it. But what she did is she was juxtaposing these color fields, her color language with the celestial beings and also interpreting the Marian language of the Mother Mary language and those devotees who are talking about generosity, loyalty, compassion, love, wonder, love, and sincerity, courage. So I'm going to do that list again: generosity, loyalty, courage, wonder, love, sincerity, and compassion. And it was just a really well put together show. She had her color language, the celestial fields, the chakras, and then inside of this cathedral, it was really great. And this is the type of the cathedral that is having mirrors, so you can look down at the mirror and be able to see all the details of the paintings that are above you. Really great show. It was super super, and I hope that you get a chance to go and see this exhibition. If you can't see it in person, you can check it out online and be thinking about coming with me in September. I'm going to do another trip to the Venice Biennale. There's more art to see, and I want to be able to bring you to that space and bring you to these works of art so you can have that resonance inside of you and remember who you are. And it will help inspire you to be your most authentic self and just to be you. And who doesn't love an adventure? Um, we can talk about Malta and the Malta Biennale. The work was spread around this island, and it also was so spiritual. This one gal had photographed her entire giving birth to her child, and she's like, that's a transformation. We need to talk about this transformation. She after her baby was born, she's like, I'm no longer that person anymore. And it's those type of transformations and all the love and the glory that goes into a transformation like that in such a vulnerable way. Wow. Um, there's another artist that had gone around the world and photographed on the summer and winter solstices all of the archaeological wonders in the world. I mean, this was this is heavy stuff, and it was beautiful, beautiful. I also visited temples that were older than the Egyptian pyramids and older than Stonehenge, and gave me a sense of place standing with these stones. It just helps me remember that when I go and visit these feminine divine sites, that it's helping me grow. And as I listen to that intuition that I need to stand there and feel it, there's there's a sense of reverence and gratitude for me in my life that it just is going to, it's amazing that I'm going to be able to share something like that in my forthcoming book. So be out on the lookout for that. And as we close up today's podcast episode, hey, I want to be your cheerleader to help you resonate with yourself as your artist mentor. I can help you do that and help you with your career. But remember, like to get into the spirit of things, really deep, do a dive into all the chambers of yourself and just don't forget any of them, like love your lady landscape, love your dude landscape, and it will help you to the path of where you want to go. It'll help you to your abundance. It'll help you be the wealthy self. It will help you be the healthiest version of yourself. And if anything more, do a doodle just for you to know that you are alive and that your hand and heart and self is a beautiful relationship. All right. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you could leave a review on this one or any other one, that would be great because it helps me spread the word. And I will continue to see you next time. We have a couple of great episodes coming up for June. We're going to interview Dina Dart, who is doing something amazing like decolonizing museums. Hello, insane in what we need to do because as I travel to museums all over the world, museums are also part of the problem with their language. So we're going to get into that a little bit, and I'm going to interview the executive director of the Smith Holtzen Foundation, which is the foundation for Robert Smithson, the earth artist, and Nancy Holt, huge feminist working in an arrangement of media, who did one of my favorite pieces called Sun Tunnels. So I will see you soon, and I can't wait.